Have you ever caught yourself lying to someone you truly care about? Maybe it was a small white lie, or maybe something more significant. How did that make you feel afterward? Did it bring you peace, or did it weigh heavily on your heart? And more importantly, have you ever wondered what it does to the relationship with the person you care about? We all know the power of honesty, but what happens when we decide to hide the truth from the ones closest to us? What does it mean for your emotional well-being in the bond you share? Imagine this. You tell a small lie to avoid conflict, thinking it's harmless. But over time, that small lie grows and becomes a wall between you and the person you love. Do you see how one lie can slowly change everything? Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we dive into the profound truths of life. If you're new here, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of you have subscribed. So please, take a moment to show your support by hitting that subscribe button and joining our community of wisdom seekers. In today's video, we explore why it's crucial never to lie with your favorite person, how even the smallest dishonesty can affect the foundation of a relationship. We'll look at this from a Buddhist perspective, examining how lies disrupt our inner peace and the harmony we seek in our relationships. Stay with us until the end of this video, and you might find yourself with a fresh outlook on the way you interact with the people who matter most to you. Lying might seem like an easy solution to avoid awkward situations or protect someone's feelings. But what if we told you that telling the truth could actually bring more peace and joy in the long run? Stick around, because we're going to unravel how truth can lead to stronger, more meaningful connections in your life. Ready to learn the wisdom of never lying to the ones who matter most? Let's begin. As a Zen master, let's delve into the significance of truth in relationships. Imagine a garden where trust is the soil that nurtures every blossom of love and connection. Truthfulness, like sunlight, is essential for this garden to flourish. When we are honest with those we care about, we cultivate an environment where trust can grow deep roots. Think about the last time you were completely honest with someone close to you. How did it feel to share your thoughts openly, without holding back? Honesty fosters authenticity. It allows us to be true to ourselves and others. It's the foundation on which genuine relationships are built. In Buddhism, truthfulness is one of the fundamental virtues. The concept goes beyond mere words. It encompasses the integrity of our actions and thoughts. When we practice truthfulness, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, free from the burdens of deceit. Consider this. Every time we lie, we create a ripple effect that extends beyond the immediate moment. Lies breed mistrust and uncertainty. They chip away at the foundation of trust we've painstakingly built with our loved ones. Even seemingly harmless lies can accumulate, eroding the authenticity of our relationships. Now, let's explore why truthfulness matters deeply in the context of personal growth. When we embrace honesty, we embark on a journey of self-discovery and growth. Honesty requires courage. It asks us to confront our fears and vulnerabilities. By being truthful, we gain clarity about who we are and what we stand for. Think about the people you admire most in your life. Chances are, they embody honesty and integrity. They speak their truth with compassion and respect. Their words carry weight because they come from a place of authenticity. In relationships, honesty builds a bridge of understanding and respect. It fosters open communication, allowing us to address conflicts and challenges with transparency. When we are truthful with our loved ones, we invite them into our inner world. We share our joys, fears, and aspirations without reservation. Buddhist teachings emphasize the interconnectedness of all beings. When we lie, we disrupt this interconnectedness. Our actions create karmic consequences that ripple through our lives, in the lives of others. Honesty, on the other hand, aligns us with the natural order of things. It fosters harmony and compassion in our interactions. Consider this story from Buddhist lore. Once, a disciple asked his master how to attain enlightenment. The master replied, "Speak the truth. Live with integrity. In truthfulness, you will find the path to liberation." This simple yet profound advice encapsulates the essence of Buddhist teachings on truthfulness. Now, reflect on your own life. Are there areas where you can cultivate more honesty? Perhaps it's in your communication with loved ones, your interactions at work, or even in the way you relate to yourself. Remember, the journey towards greater truthfulness is a continuous practice, one that requires mindfulness and self-awareness. As we continue our exploration, consider the impact of lies on the fabric of relationships. Every lie, no matter how small, introduces a thread of doubt into the tapestry of trust. Imagine a relationship built on a foundation of lies. It's like a house with cracks in its walls, vulnerable to collapse at any moment. Lies create barriers between people. They obscure genuine understanding and intimacy. When we lie, we withhold our true selves from others, creating distance instead of closeness. This disconnect can lead to feelings of betrayal and resentment over time. Now, think about the emotional toll of dishonesty. When we lie, we not only deceive others but also ourselves. The weight of keeping secrets can burden our hearts and minds. We may experience guilt, shame, or anxiety as we navigate the consequences of our actions. In Buddhist philosophy, the mind is likened to a clear pool of water. When we lie, we disturb the clarity of our own minds. Dishonesty clouds our perception and distorts our understanding of reality. It perpetuates a cycle of confusion and inner turmoil. Consider this teaching. Buddha once said, "Three things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth." Truth has a way of revealing itself, whether through our words, actions, or the silent language of our hearts. Embracing truthfulness allows us to align with the natural order of the universe. Now, reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever been on the receiving end of a lie? How did it affect your trust in the person who lied to you? Conversely, think about a time when someone's honesty strengthened your bond with them. Truth has the power to heal wounds and fortify relationships. In conclusion, the practice of truthfulness is a transformative journey, one that enriches our relationships and deepens our understanding of ourselves. As we strive to live with integrity and honesty, we contribute to a more compassionate and harmonious world. Remember, each moment presents an opportunity to choose truth over falsehood, authenticity over pretense. The Buddhist perspective on truthfulness. In Buddhism, truthfulness is not just a moral choice, but a core principle that guides every action and thought. The teachings of Buddhism emphasize the importance of living in harmony with the truth, both within ourselves and in our relationships with others. In a world where lies can seem like a quick fix for difficult situations, Buddhism invites us to take a step back and consider the deeper consequences of our words and actions. The Buddha, in his wisdom, spoke often about the importance of speaking the truth. He taught that words have immense power. The Buddha understood that lies can cause harm, not only to others but also to ourselves. When we lie, we create confusion and suffering, both for those around us and for our own minds. We become tangled in webs of deceit, and these webs grow larger and more complicated over time. The more lies we tell, the more we must keep track of, and the more we distance ourselves from the truth. But why does this matter? The Buddhist view of truthfulness is rooted in the concept of right speech, one of the key elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right speech is about more than just telling the truth. It's about using words that are kind, thoughtful, and beneficial. It's about communicating with honesty, clarity, and compassion without causing harm to others. In this light, truthfulness is seen as a way to bring peace, understanding, and unity to the world around us. When we speak the truth, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life. Truth, in this sense, is not something external to us that we must force ourselves to follow. It's an inherent part of who we are. It's the foundation of our being. The Buddha taught that all beings have the potential for wisdom, but this wisdom can only arise when we are clear and honest with ourselves. Lies cloud our minds, making it difficult to see the world as it truly is. But when we embrace truth, we clear the fog of delusion and open ourselves to deeper understanding. Think of it this way. Imagine a mirror. When the mirror is clean, it reflects the world clearly, without distortion. But when the mirror is covered with dust and dirt, it can no longer reflect reality as it truly is. Our minds work in much the same way. When we speak the truth and live in accordance with it, we clear away the mental clutter, allowing us to see things more clearly. We can see our relationships, our intentions, and our own hearts with greater clarity. But let's look deeper into why this is so important. According to Buddhist teachings, everything in life is interconnected. Our words, thoughts, and actions ripple out and affect those around us. When we lie, we are not only causing harm to the person we are deceiving, but we are also harming ourselves. Our minds become restless and conflicted, unable to rest in the peace that comes with truth. We may experience guilt, anxiety, and fear, all of which create further suffering. In contrast, when we speak truthfully, we feel a sense of ease and calm. There is no need to keep track of the lies we've told, no need to remember what we said to whom. Our minds are free to focus on what truly matters, on cultivating kindness, compassion, and wisdom. The simple act of telling the truth helps to restore balance in our lives, bringing peace not only to our hearts, but also to our relationships. There is also a deeper aspect to truthfulness in Buddhism, the practice of self-awareness. The Buddha taught that in order to live truthfully, we must first be aware of our own minds. We must observe our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment, seeing them as they truly are. This requires mindfulness, paying close attention to our inner world so that we can recognize when we are tempted to lie or hide the truth. Through mindfulness, we become more attuned to our own motivations and can make choices that align with our values. Imagine a person who is always caught up in the rush of life, constantly moving from one task to the next without pausing to reflect. Such a person might lie without even thinking about it, simply because it feels easier in the moment. But the person who practices mindfulness is different. They take the time to pause, breathe, and check in with themselves before speaking. They recognize when their words might not be aligned with the truth and choose to speak with integrity, even when it's difficult. This mindfulness also helps us to be honest not only with others, but also with ourselves. We often lie to ourselves about our true feelings, desires, and motivations. We might pretend that we are fine when we are actually struggling, or convince ourselves that we don't care when, deep down, we do. But through mindfulness, we can bring awareness to these inner lies and begin to see the truth of our emotions and thoughts. This self-awareness is the first step toward healing and growth. Buddhism also teaches that truthfulness is a reflection of wisdom. The more we practice honesty, the more we develop our understanding of the world. Lies are rooted in ignorance of the true nature of reality and of the interconnectedness of all beings. When we lie, we create separation and division. We deny the interconnectedness that binds us together. But when we speak the truth, we recognize our shared humanity and the common thread that connects us all. Consider the example of a friendship. When two people are honest with each other, they create a foundation of trust and understanding. This trust allows the relationship to grow and flourish. But if one person begins to lie, even in small ways, that trust begins to erode. Over time, the friendship may break down completely. This is the impact of dishonesty on our relationships. It slowly chips away at the foundation until, eventually, it crumbles. In Buddhism, truthfulness is also connected to the concept of sila, or ethical conduct. Sila refers to the moral principles that guide our actions and help us live in harmony with the world. By practicing truthfulness, we cultivate ethical conduct and create a life that is in alignment with our deepest values. This alignment brings us peace, both internally and externally. Truth, in the Buddhist sense, is not about telling the truth to gain approval or avoid punishment. It is not about adhering to an external rule. Rather, it is about living in accordance with the truth of our own nature and the truth of the world around us. It is about seeing clearly and acting with wisdom, kindness, and compassion. As we move through our daily lives, it's important to remember that truth is not something that can be selectively applied. It must be present in every aspect of our being. From our thoughts to our words to our actions, we must strive to embody truthfulness in all that we do. This is the path to inner peace, to stronger relationships, and to a more harmonious world. So, as you go through your day, take a moment to reflect on how truth is showing up in your life. Are there areas where you might be hiding the truth from yourself or others? What would it look like to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable? By practicing truthfulness, you align yourself with the wisdom and compassion that lies at the heart of Buddhism, and in doing so, you bring peace not only to yourself but to the world around you. The practice of truthfulness may not always be easy, but it is one of the most powerful tools we have for creating a life of wisdom and peace. By speaking the truth with kindness and compassion, we honor our deepest values and contribute to the well-being of everyone around us. Through truth, we find clarity, connection, and the true freedom that comes with living authentically. In the end, the Buddhist perspective on truthfulness is not about perfection. It is about progress. It is about making the choice, every day, to live more honestly, more mindfully, and more in tune with the interconnectedness of all beings. When we do this, we create a life that is rich in wisdom, compassion, and true inner peace. The karma of lies. In the world of Buddhism, there is a powerful principle known as karma, the idea that every action, word, and thought creates an effect, whether good or bad. The concept of karma teaches us that everything we do, good or bad, has consequences. But when it comes to lying, the consequences are often much more profound than we realize. Lies, no matter how small, stir up a chain of events that affect not only the one we deceive but also ourselves, creating ripples that can last a lifetime. Imagine for a moment that you tell a small lie to protect someone's feelings. Maybe you tell your partner that you love the dinner they cooked, even though it didn't taste as good as they hoped. You think this little untruth will make them happy and keep the peace. But what if this small act, repeated over time, becomes part of a larger pattern of dishonesty? What happens to the trust between you both? Slowly, your words lose their weight, their sincerity, and their truth. The karma of these lies accumulates, affecting your relationship in ways you might not even notice until it's too late. Now, this doesn't mean that a single lie will ruin everything. But when we lie repeatedly, it becomes part of our actions, our behaviors, and our way of being. Lies cloud our mind and distance us from the truth. We may think we're doing the right thing at the moment, but in reality, we're creating more suffering for ourselves and the people we love. Lies build walls, and walls separate us from the truth, from each other, and from our own inner peace. In Buddhist teachings, it's said that right speech is one of the essential practices to lead a peaceful life. Right speech isn't just about avoiding lies, it's about speaking with honesty, kindness, and mindfulness. This practice encourages us to be mindful of the words we use, understanding that every word has the power to either heal or harm. When we speak truthfully, we align ourselves with the path of peace and harmony. But when we lie, we create negative karma that can follow us throughout our lives. The consequences of lying are not only external but internal as well. Lies disturb our own minds. They create inner conflict and unease because, deep down, we know we are not being truthful. This inner turmoil can lead to stress, anxiety, and a sense of disconnection from ourselves. The Buddhist view tells us that true peace comes from living a life of integrity and truth, not from avoiding uncomfortable situations with falsehoods. Let's take a look at the deeper impact. When we lie, we break the trust between ourselves and others. Trust is the foundation of any relationship. Without it, relationships can crumble. The more lies we tell, the harder it becomes to rebuild that trust. And rebuilding trust isn't easy. It takes time, effort, and a deep commitment to truth. The karmic effect of lies can linger long after the words have been spoken, leading to consequences that can shape our lives in ways we don't always expect. In Buddhism, the concept of dependent origination is also closely tied to karma. It teaches that everything in our lives is interconnected. When we tell a lie, we not only affect the immediate relationship, but also create a ripple effect that touches other areas of our life. Our actions, thoughts, and words are not isolated. They influence everything around us. A lie doesn't just affect the person we're deceiving, it affects the way we see the world, the way others see us, and the way we experience life. Think of it this way. If you plant a seed of dishonesty, it grows into a tree that bears fruit in many unexpected ways. You might not see the full consequences of your lie right away, but over time, the roots of that dishonesty spread and impact other areas of your life. This is why karma, in the context of lying, can be so powerful. The effects are often far-reaching and can unfold in ways that we may not fully understand until much later. It's also important to understand that the karma of lying is not always immediate. Often, the effects of our lies don't show up right away. They might take months or even years to fully manifest. But just because the consequences are not immediate doesn't mean they're not real. In fact, the longer we carry these lies, the more burdened we become, until eventually, the weight of our own untruths becomes too much to bear. The karma of lying accumulates, and at some point, it can no longer be ignored. One key teaching in Buddhism is the understanding of impermanence, the idea that everything changes, including the consequences of our actions. While the karma of lies can follow us for a long time, it is possible to change our path. We are not doomed to live forever in the shadow of our lies. The practice of mindfulness and self-awareness allows us to recognize when we have strayed from the truth and take steps to correct our course. In Buddhist practice, there's a concept known as right intention. Right intention is the intention to act with wisdom, compassion, and honesty. It encourages us to check our motivations before speaking or acting. Are we lying to protect ourselves? Are we lying to avoid conflict? Or are we simply not aware of the consequences of our words? When we examine our intentions, we can begin to understand the deeper motivations behind our actions, and with that understanding, we can choose to act in a way that is more aligned with truth and integrity. The good news is that, through the practice of mindfulness and the cultivation of awareness, we can begin to notice when we're tempted to lie. We can start to understand the triggers that lead us to untruthfulness and make a conscious decision to speak the truth instead. This process may take time, and it may be uncomfortable at first, but it's through this discomfort that we can begin to purify our actions and create positive karma for ourselves and others. In the end, the karma of lies is a reminder that everything we do has an effect. The lies we tell today shape the world we live in tomorrow. By choosing to speak the truth, we not only honor ourselves and our relationships, but also align ourselves with a path of wisdom and peace. Through mindfulness, right intention, and right speech, we can begin to create a life free from the burden of dishonesty and filled with the light of truth. The impact of lies on personal growth. Lies may seem like a quick way to escape an uncomfortable situation, but over time, they begin to stifle our personal growth. When we tell lies, even small ones, we start creating a version of reality that isn't aligned with who we truly are. This creates a distance between our true selves and the image we project to the world. We become trapped in the web of deceit, and the more lies we tell, the more difficult it becomes to untangle ourselves. The Buddhist teachings emphasize living with integrity and truth because they are the foundation of a peaceful mind. In Buddhism, truth is seen as a path to enlightenment. It helps us see the world clearly, without the distortions created by falsehoods. When we lie, we cloud our mind and spirit. We act out of fear or insecurity, which prevents us from facing our true selves in the reality around us. Personal growth thrives in an environment where honesty and self-awareness are practiced. Think of your mind as a garden. If you plant seeds of truth, it will flourish with clarity and understanding. But if you sow seeds of lies, the garden becomes overrun with weeds, stifling any potential growth. Lies, no matter how small, act as weeds that choke the very essence of who we are, preventing us from reaching our fullest potential. Lying also creates an emotional barrier. It separates us from our authentic feelings, leading to confusion and inner conflict. For instance, when you lie about something important, even if the other person never finds out, your mind still knows the truth. The emotional weight of that lie sits heavy on your heart, distracting you from your personal development. You might feel guilt, shame, or anxiety, and these feelings pull your energy away from growth and focus. Instead of developing inner peace, you get caught up in the emotional turmoil created by the lie. In the Buddhist way, personal growth involves being true to ourselves. The teachings encourage self-reflection and mindfulness, helping us acknowledge and confront our faults. This is not to criticize ourselves, but to understand our actions and their impact. When we lie, we avoid self-reflection because we are afraid to face the truth about ourselves. We escape into a false version of reality. But true growth comes when we accept our flaws, learn from them, and commit to acting with honesty in all situations. A simple example. Imagine you're in a difficult conversation with someone you care about. Instead of being honest about your feelings, you lie to avoid conflict. At first, it might seem like the easy way out. You might feel relieved temporarily, but as time passes, you realize that the lie you told has left you feeling disconnected from your true self. The more you suppress your feelings, the harder it becomes to express your real thoughts and emotions. Over time, this disconnect grows, and you find it harder to connect with others, too. This lack of authenticity has far-reaching consequences. When we aren't truthful with others, we also aren't truthful with ourselves. We start to lose touch with who we truly are, and our ability to grow spiritually and emotionally diminishes. We create a cycle of avoidance that holds us back from developing compassion, patience, and wisdom, qualities that are essential for personal growth. When we lie, we not only harm the people around us, but also harm ourselves. The act of lying creates inner dissonance. We know deep down that we're not being honest, and that feeling creates a sense of discomfort. Over time, this discomfort erodes our sense of self-worth and confidence. It's like wearing a mask all the time. At first, the mask might seem like a solution, but eventually, it feels suffocating. The longer you wear it, the harder it becomes to breathe freely and be your true self. But when you choose honesty, you choose freedom. It's the kind of freedom that allows you to speak your truth without fear of judgment. The more you practice being honest, the more you begin to understand yourself. You learn to face uncomfortable truths, not as burdens but as opportunities for growth. This honesty becomes a source of strength, helping you move forward in life with clarity and purpose. You no longer hide behind lies or wear masks, and in doing so, you unlock your true potential. Buddhism teaches us that in order to grow spiritually, we must first understand the nature of our thoughts, words, and actions. When we speak falsely, we create confusion within our minds. This confusion makes it harder to meditate and see things as they truly are. But when we practice truthfulness, we clear away that confusion, allowing us to approach life with a calm and focused mind. We begin to see the world without the filters of fear or deception, and in this clarity, we find the wisdom that guides our personal growth. The impact of lying on personal growth is not limited to the emotional or spiritual realm. It also affects our ability to learn and adapt. When we lie, we block the flow of learning. We stop being honest about our mistakes, which prevents us from growing and evolving. We stop asking ourselves the difficult questions that lead to insight and understanding. If we don't acknowledge where we've gone wrong, we can't correct ourselves. And if we can't correct ourselves, we can't grow. Growth comes from embracing the truth. It comes from being honest about where we stand and where we need to go. When we lie, we prevent ourselves from seeing clearly, from understanding ourselves deeply. And in that confusion, we stall our growth. But when we embrace the truth, we invite clarity into our lives. We open the door to learning, to transformation, and to a deeper understanding of who we are and what we can become. In Buddhism, personal growth isn't just about acquiring knowledge or becoming more successful in the world. It's about developing wisdom and compassion, and both of these are grounded in truth. Without truth, wisdom remains shallow, and compassion remains superficial. But when we commit to truth, we cultivate genuine wisdom, which guides us to act with kindness and understanding. This wisdom also helps us see beyond our own fears and desires, allowing us to act selflessly for the benefit of others. Ultimately, the impact of lies on personal growth is profound. Lies stifle our development, cloud our minds, and create barriers between us and our true potential. But truth, no matter how difficult it may seem at first, is the key to unlocking our growth. It allows us to confront our fears, learn from our mistakes, and move forward with confidence. And as we grow, we become more connected to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. So, if you truly wish to grow, embrace honesty and let the light of truth guide your path. How lies erode trust in relationships? Trust is the foundation upon which every meaningful relationship is built. Whether it's a friendship, a romantic partnership, or a bond between family members, trust is the glue that holds everything together. Without trust, relationships can quickly become fragile and unstable, like a house built on sand. But what happens when trust begins to erode? What causes it to slowly crumble away? Lies. Even the smallest of lies can have a huge impact on trust. At first, a lie might seem insignificant, something you think is harmless or necessary for the moment. You may even tell yourself it's to protect the other person or avoid conflict. But the truth is, once a lie is told, No matter how small, a seed of doubt is planted in the mind of the one you care about. And once doubt starts to grow, it spreads like a weed, clouding the clarity of the relationship. Imagine this. You tell your partner you'll be home by 7 p.m., but you don't actually arrive until 8 p.m. Instead of telling the truth about your delay, you make up an excuse. It might seem like a harmless white lie at first, but over time, this pattern repeats. Your partner starts wondering, why does he always say he'll be home at a certain time but never quite make it? Slowly, that innocent lie erodes the trust that once existed between you. This doesn't just apply to romantic relationships. In friendships, family bonds, and professional environments, lies work the same way. The person you lied to starts to question your words. They wonder if you're being truthful in everything else you say. And every time that doubt creeps in, it chips away at the trust they have in you. Trust isn't something that can be easily repaired once it's broken. Unlike a broken plate, you can't just glue trust back together. It takes time, effort, and genuine actions to rebuild it. And even when trust is restored, the scar of the lie will always remain. The person might forgive you, but the memory of the lie will linger in their mind, and they may never see you in the same way again. Buddhism teaches us about the importance of right speech, which encourages honesty and truthfulness in all aspects of life. The Buddha spoke about how our words have the power to create peace or cause harm. When we lie, we not only harm others, but we also harm ourselves. Lies create dissonance in our hearts and minds, disrupting our inner peace. The energy it takes to maintain a lie drains us mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Have you ever experienced the feeling of guilt after lying? That gnawing feeling in your chest, like a weight that just won't lift? That's the result of the disconnect between your true self and the words you've spoken. Lies, no matter how small, create a gap between who you are and who you present to the world. This disconnect prevents you from being fully present in your relationships, and it distances you from the people you care about. Trust is like a fragile vase. Once it's cracked, no matter how much you try to fix it, the cracks will always be visible. And in relationships, these cracks can lead to a bigger fracture. The more you lie, the more that trust diminishes, and eventually, you may find that the bond between you and your loved one has dissolved entirely. The damage may not be obvious right away, but over time, the consequences of dishonesty will be clear. It's important to understand that lies, no matter how small, have a ripple effect. You may think that telling a small lie to avoid conflict or protect someone's feelings won't matter, but it does. The ripple effect of one small lie can spread through the entire relationship, affecting how the other person views you and how they interact with you moving forward. In Buddhist teachings, we are reminded of the importance of mindfulness. Mindfulness encourages us to be aware of our actions, words, and thoughts in every moment. When we speak truthfully, we are in alignment with our true nature, and our relationships are strengthened. But when we lie, we lose touch with our authenticity, and that disconnection from our true self is reflected in our relationships. Think about a time when someone lied to you. How did it make you feel? Did you feel betrayed or hurt? Did it affect the way you interacted with that person afterward? Chances are that lie left a mark on your trust in them, and it may have taken time for you to rebuild the bond that was once there. Now, think about how your own lies might affect others in a similar way. The impact of lies isn't always immediate, but over time, the trust between people begins to fade. The Buddhist concept of karma also plays a role here. Every action, including our words, carries consequences. When we lie, we are creating negative karma, which can come back to us in unexpected ways. The trust we break in others may lead to a loss of trust in our own lives, or we may find ourselves in situations where we are deceived by others. The law of karma teaches us that everything we put out into the world comes back to us, and dishonesty will eventually catch up with us. When you lie, you are not only affecting the other person, but you are also affecting your own peace of mind. The effort it takes to maintain a lie, to remember the details, and to keep up the facade is mentally exhausting. It creates an inner conflict that disturbs your sense of calm. In contrast, when you speak the truth, there is peace in your heart. Your mind is clear, and your relationships are based on authenticity. It's crucial to understand that trust isn't built overnight. It takes consistent, honest actions over time. If you want to nurture strong relationships, the key is honesty. Even when it's difficult, even when the truth might cause discomfort or pain, the long-term benefit of being truthful far outweighs the short-term comfort of a lie. And the more you practice honesty, the easier it becomes. In Buddhist philosophy, the concept of compassion also plays a significant role. Compassion involves understanding and kindness toward others. When we lie, we fail to show true compassion. By being honest, we create space for genuine understanding and connection. Compassion doesn't mean shielding someone from the truth. It means delivering that truth with kindness and empathy. Lies, no matter how well-intentioned, eventually cause harm. They distort reality and create a barrier between people. Trust is something that, once lost, can be difficult to regain. But with time, effort, and a commitment to truthfulness, it is possible to rebuild. The journey toward honesty requires self-awareness and mindfulness, as well as a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. But when you choose to live in alignment with truth, you begin to experience the deep peace that comes with it. Practicing mindful communication. In the fast-paced world we live in today, communication has become more than just exchanging words. It's a tool, a way of connecting, and sometimes a way to hide the truth. We all know how easy it is to speak without thinking, whether it's to protect ourselves, avoid a confrontation, or simply because we don't want to face the reality of a situation. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, how does this affect my relationship? How does it impact your connection with the people you care about, especially when you aren't fully honest? Buddhism teaches us the art of mindfulness, being present in the moment and fully aware of our thoughts, actions, and words. Mindful communication is about paying attention to the impact our words have, not just on others, but on ourselves as well. When we are mindful of how we speak, we can create deeper, more authentic connections with the people around us. It's not just about being truthful, it's about being conscious of the power our words hold. Imagine you're in a conversation with someone you deeply care about. Instead of just blurting out whatever comes to mind, you take a moment to pause, breathe, and think about what you're about to say. Is it the truth? Is it necessary? Is it kind? These simple questions are at the heart of mindful communication. It's about slowing down and being intentional with your words, rather than reacting out of habit or fear. In Buddhism, the practice of right speech is one of the core aspects of the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the way to end suffering and find true peace. Right speech encourages us to speak truthfully, kindly, and helpfully. It tells us not to lie, gossip, or speak harshly, but instead to communicate in a way that brings harmony to our lives and those around us. When you speak with mindfulness, you are not only honoring the person you are communicating with, but you are also honoring yourself. By choosing words that reflect truth and kindness, you align with your higher self and create a peaceful environment. The beauty of mindful communication lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require grand gestures or difficult practices, it simply requires awareness. Every time you open your mouth to speak, you have the opportunity to choose your words consciously. You can decide whether to speak with honesty and love, or with fear and avoidance. The more you practice mindful communication, the easier it becomes to stay true to yourself and your values, and the more authentic your relationships will be. When we are mindful in our communication, we stop using words as shields to protect us from the discomfort of truth. We stop hiding behind half-truths or exaggerations. Instead, we embrace the power of vulnerability, acknowledging that it's okay to speak what is real, even if it feels uncomfortable. In doing so, we allow ourselves to connect with others on a deeper level, free from the walls that dishonesty or evasiveness often create. But how do we practice mindful communication in our everyday lives? The first step is awareness. Before you say anything, take a moment to check in with yourself. Are you about to say something that is true? Is it something that will help the conversation? Is it something that will build trust and understanding? If the answer to any of these questions is no, perhaps it's time to rethink your words. For example, think about a situation where you're asked a question that you feel uncomfortable answering. Instead of jumping into a quick, potentially dishonest response to avoid the discomfort, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What am I afraid of? What is the truth here? By taking this pause, you give yourself the space to communicate mindfully and truthfully, without reacting impulsively. It's important to note that mindful communication isn't just about the words we speak. It's also about the way we listen. In Buddhism, right listening is just as essential as right speech. Listening with mindfulness means giving the other person your full attention, without judgment, without planning your response while they speak. It's about being present with them, hearing not only their words but also their emotions and intentions. When we truly listen with mindfulness, we create a safe space where honesty can flourish and where deep connections can be made. This doesn't mean that communication will always be easy or comfortable. There will be moments when the truth is hard to say, or when the conversation feels tense. But mindful communication allows us to navigate these moments with grace. It helps us to speak from a place of clarity and compassion rather than fear or defensiveness. And even if the truth is difficult, it will always lead to greater understanding and healing in the long run. In relationships, especially those with our loved ones, mindful communication fosters a sense of mutual respect and understanding. When we communicate mindfully, we show that we value the other person enough to speak the truth, even when it's hard. We show that we are willing to be vulnerable and honest, because we care about the well-being of the relationship. This doesn't mean that every conversation will be easy, but it means that we are committed to honesty, understanding, and growth together. One powerful practice within mindful communication is the pause. This is when you take a moment before responding to a question or comment, especially if it's one that could lead to a reactionary response. By pausing, you give yourself the space to center your thoughts, check in with your emotions, and decide on the best way to respond. This pause can prevent you from saying something hurtful or dishonest in the heat of the moment. It's a simple but effective tool to ensure that your words reflect your true feelings and intentions. Additionally, when practicing mindful communication, we also have to be mindful of the nonverbal signals we send. Our body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions all communicate messages, often louder than words. When we speak truthfully, our body language will naturally align with our words. But when we lie or try to hide something, our nonverbal cues often give us away. Mindful communication is about aligning your words with your body language so that everything you express is authentic and transparent. Over time, the more you practice mindful communication, the more natural it will become. You'll notice that your relationships start to feel more honest and open. You'll feel more confident in your interactions because you know that you are speaking with integrity. And, perhaps most importantly, you'll feel more at peace with yourself because you are no longer carrying the burden of dishonesty. Mindful communication is a practice, and like any practice, it requires patience and consistency. It's okay to make mistakes along the way, but the key is to keep coming back to awareness. Each time you speak, you have the opportunity to practice mindfulness, to choose words that reflect your truth, and to build stronger, more authentic relationships. So, take a moment before your next conversation. Breathe, check in with yourself, and ask, what is the truth I want to share today? Buddhist stories about truthfulness. In the ancient teachings of Buddhism, truthfulness is not just an ideal. It is a way of living. It is the foundation upon which our minds can find peace and clarity. The Buddha himself often spoke about the importance of truth, both in our words and in our actions. Let me share a few stories from the Buddhist tradition that can help us understand why truthfulness holds such an important place in our lives. One of the most famous stories is of Chandaka, the Buddha's charioteer. This story takes place before the Buddha achieved enlightenment. When Prince Siddhartha, who would later become the Buddha, decided to leave his palace and search for the truth of life, he turned to Chandaka for help. As they prepared to leave, the prince asked his charioteer, "What is the truth of life? Why do people suffer?" Chandaka, who had grown up alongside the prince, didn't have the answers. But instead of pretending to know, he replied honestly, "I do not know, my prince, but I will help you find the answers." This simple act of truthfulness was the beginning of a journey toward wisdom. By not offering false comfort, Chandaka allowed the prince to follow his path toward enlightenment, where he ultimately discovered the truth about suffering, the causes of suffering, and the way to overcome it. This story reminds us that when we are faced with difficult questions, pretending to know the answer can only lead us further away from the truth. Instead, like Chandaka, we must be willing to admit when we don't have all the answers and seek the truth with an open heart. Another significant story from the Buddha's life is the tale of the Janaka tales, which are stories of the Buddha's past lives. In one of the Janaka tales, a king named Mahasattva is faced with a moral dilemma. He must decide whether to tell his people the truth about a famine that is coming, or to keep the news hidden to prevent panic. The king faces tremendous pressure from his advisors, who urge him to keep the truth a secret. But the king, understanding that the people have the right to know, chooses to speak the truth, no matter how hard it is. He tells his people that the famine is coming, and though it causes some fear and distress, it also allows them to prepare for the difficult times ahead. In the end, the people are grateful for the king's honesty, as it allows them to face the hardship with awareness and unity. This story teaches us that while truth may cause temporary discomfort, it is ultimately the path to freedom. By telling the truth, we empower ourselves and others to make informed decisions. In our own lives, when we are honest with those around us, we allow them to face the reality of their situations, whether it's a challenge, an opportunity, or a decision that needs to be made. Let me share with you a story about a young monk who was learning about truth. This story might not be as well known, but it holds an important lesson for all of us. There was once a young monk named Ananda, who was known for his deep desire to learn. He spent many years in the monastery, listening to the teachings of the Buddha and observing the lives of the other monks. One day, as he walked through the village, he came across an old woman who asked him for help. She explained that her son had fallen ill and that no one in the village was able to help him. The woman asked Ananda, "Can you cure my son? Can you make him well again?" The young monk, though kind and compassionate, had never learned the art of healing. So, he replied truthfully, "I am not a healer, and I cannot cure your son, but I will pray for him, and I hope that he will find the strength to overcome his illness." The woman, though disappointed, thanked Ananda for his honesty. She then turned to another monk who was passing by, but this monk gave her false hope. He claimed that he could cure her son if she followed certain rituals. The woman followed his instructions, but her son did not recover. When the woman realized that the monk had lied to her, she felt betrayed and heartbroken. This story teaches us that lies might offer temporary relief, but they ultimately lead to greater suffering. The young monk, Ananda, chose to speak the truth, even though it was not what the woman wanted to hear. His honesty, though difficult, was far more valuable than any false promise. Sometimes, the truth may not be the easiest thing to say, but it is always the most beneficial in the long run. In Buddhism, truthfulness is closely linked to the concept of right speech, one of the components of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right speech involves speaking in ways that are honest, kind, and beneficial. It encourages us to avoid lies, slander, gossip, and harsh words. By practicing right speech, we create an environment of trust and respect, both for ourselves and for others. But why is this so important? Let's consider the consequences of dishonesty in our own lives. When we lie, even with the best intentions, we create a ripple effect. Lies distort our reality and prevent us from seeing things clearly. They cloud our judgment, affect our relationships, and create a sense of unease within ourselves. This discomfort can manifest as stress, anxiety, or even physical illness. The Buddha understood that this cycle of dishonesty was one of the root causes of human suffering. That's why, in Buddhist teachings, truthfulness is seen as a path to inner peace. When we speak the truth, we free ourselves from the burden of lies and deceit. We no longer have to remember what we said or fear being caught in a lie. Our minds become clear, and we can experience the world as it truly is, without the distortion of falsehoods. The act of speaking the truth is also deeply connected to the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being present in the moment and aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. When we are mindful, we are more likely to choose our words carefully and speak with honesty. In the Buddhist tradition, mindfulness is not just about meditation. It is a way of life that informs how we interact with others and the world around us. Buddhism teaches us that truth is not just about external words. It is about aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with the deepest understanding of reality. This alignment helps us cultivate wisdom, one of the key virtues in Buddhism. When we speak the truth, we are reflecting the wisdom that comes from seeing the world clearly and understanding the impermanence of all things. In our daily lives, We can practice truthfulness by being honest with ourselves and with others. We don't need to make grand declarations. Small, everyday acts of honesty can have a profound impact. When we are truthful in our conversations, we build trust and respect. When we are truthful with ourselves, we cultivate self-awareness and inner peace. Ultimately, the stories we've shared today show us that truthfulness is not just about saying what is right. It is about living in alignment with the deepest truths of existence. By following the teachings of the Buddha, we can begin to see the world with clarity and act with integrity. And in doing so, we create a life of peace, trust, and harmony, both within ourselves and with those around us. So, the next time you find yourself tempted to lie, whether it's to protect someone's feelings or to avoid conflict, remember these stories. Remember that truth is not only the right path, it is the path to freedom. Truth may be difficult, but it is always the best choice for your peace, your relationships, and your growth. The transformative power of truth. Truth has a quiet power. It doesn't need to shout or demand attention. It simply exists, standing firm like a mountain. Imagine this. When you speak the truth, even when it's difficult, there is a calm that settles within you. This inner peace is not something you can force or fake. It arises naturally when you align your actions with honesty. It is like the fresh, clean air that fills your lungs after a long time spent in a stuffy room. The truth revitalizes your spirit. When we lie, something inside us shifts. We might not notice it immediately, but deep down, there is a shift in our being. Every lie, no matter how small, builds a layer of discomfort, of tension. It's like a stone in your shoe that, over time, becomes unbearable. But when you choose to speak the truth, you remove that stone. There's a release, a feeling of lightness, as if you've let go of something heavy that no longer serves you. But speaking the truth is not just about relief. It is also about transformation. Truth has the power to change not only your relationship with others, but also your relationship with yourself. The more you practice honesty, the more you begin to trust yourself. You don't need to keep track of what you've said, trying to remember which version of events you told someone. There is no mental burden, no web of stories to keep straight. Your mind becomes clear, and with that clarity comes wisdom. Buddhism teaches us that truthfulness is one of the cornerstones of a peaceful mind. In the Dhammapada, a key Buddhist text, it says, "Speak the truth, do not yield to anger. Give freely, and be content with little." Truthfulness is a way to cultivate peace, not just with others, but within ourselves. The more we commit to truth, the more we are in alignment with our true nature. We are no longer hiding parts of ourselves or our experiences. Instead, we are embracing our wholeness. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a saying, "When you know the truth, you know freedom." It means that the truth frees us from the prison of our own doubts, fears, and illusions. When we speak the truth, we are no longer trapped in a cycle of deceit and confusion. We no longer need to worry about hiding who we are or what we've done. We can stand tall, face the world with integrity, and move forward with confidence. The transformative power of truth also lies in its ability to heal. Imagine a wound that has been left untreated for years. It's painful, it festers, and it affects everything around it. But when you bring it to light, when you face the truth about what has hurt you, you can begin to heal. Truth brings clarity, and with that clarity comes healing. It allows you to let go of past grudges and misunderstandings. It frees you from the grip of anger and resentment. When we choose truth over lies, we choose healing over harm. We choose to confront the uncomfortable emotions and situations in our lives, rather than avoiding them. This doesn't mean that the truth will always be easy to accept. Sometimes, it can feel like a cold splash of water, jarring us from our comfortable illusions. But in the long run, it always leads to growth. Think about the relationships in your life, those that have lasted and those that have faded. What makes one relationship stronger than another? It's not necessarily shared interests or experiences. The strongest relationships are often built on trust, on a mutual understanding that honesty will always be the foundation. When you speak the truth with someone, even when it's hard, you show them that they matter enough to you to be completely real. You show them the respect of honesty, and that respect fosters deep connection. In the same way, when you speak the truth to yourself, You honor who you really are. You no longer have to hide parts of yourself that you may have been ashamed of or uncertain about. Truth allows you to be vulnerable, and in that vulnerability, you find strength. The more truthful you are with yourself, the more you understand your own heart. You stop pretending to be someone you're not, and you start embracing who you truly are. In Buddhist practice, we focus on developing mindfulness, a clear awareness of the present moment, free from distortion. Truthfulness is a natural extension of mindfulness. When you are mindful, you are aware of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. You don't act impulsively or speak without thinking. You choose your words carefully, knowing that they carry weight. When you speak the truth, you align yourself with the present moment, free from the distortions of lies and deceit. You no longer need to hide behind masks or pretenses. Honesty also teaches us to take responsibility. When we tell the truth, we stop blaming others or making excuses. We take ownership of our actions, words, and decisions. This doesn't mean that we always get things right, but it does mean that we are accountable. In Buddhism, there is a strong emphasis on personal responsibility, recognizing that our actions have consequences, both for ourselves and for others. When we speak the truth, we take responsibility for the energy we bring into the world. The transformative power of truth can also be seen in its ability to bring about change. When you are honest with yourself and others, you start to see things differently. You begin to notice patterns in your life that were previously hidden by lies or denial. You start to understand your own behavior, the choices you've made, and the reasons behind them. This awareness creates an opportunity for change. You can break free from old habits, old patterns of thought, and old ways of being that no longer serve you. And as you change, the world around you changes. When you speak the truth, you create an environment where others feel safe to be honest as well. Truth has a ripple effect. When you act with integrity, you inspire others to do the same. It's not always immediate, but over time, your honesty can shift the dynamics of your relationships and even your community. There is an undeniable power in truth. It allows us to break free from the limitations of fear, guilt, and shame. It connects us to others in a way that lies never can. When we speak the truth, we create the space for love, compassion, and understanding. We invite others to be real with us, and in turn, we can be real with them. This honesty builds a bridge between hearts, a bridge that no lie can ever destroy. So, remember, truth is not just a moral principle. It's a powerful tool for transformation. When you choose the truth, you choose a path of healing, growth, and deeper connection with yourself and others. The more you embrace the truth, the more you will see its transformative power in your life. And in the end, it is this truth that will lead you to the peace and freedom you seek.